As much as I hate to admit it, I am still repairing rust on the lower cowl panel. I'll continue working on repairing the rust damage on the lower cowl panel by removing this section here. Then I made a patch, a little more fiddling with the fitment, and I was able to weld it in. After working the fit and grinding down the welds, it looks pretty good. And here's the view from the backside. Next, I went to work on repairing a section on the front of the passenger side. I tried to make this repair as a single piece, but as it turns out, the shape of the piece was more complex than I had anticipated, and as a result, I had to make it in several pieces. Fitting the larger front piece was the easiest since it was mostly straight. I welded that one in pretty easily and ground down the welds. The next patch was a bit more difficult because of the compound shape. You can see here I tried to make it a single piece, but I couldn't get it to fit, so I had to break it into two separate pieces. I know this makes for more grinding and cleaning up, but it simplifies the fabrication of the patches. The last piece in the repair required some hand filing to get the fit just right before welding it in, and finally grinding down the welds and smoothing things out. There were several places that I had damaged the lower cowl panel with my makeshift seam splitter when I was removing spot welds. Here I am, stitch welding the area I had damaged. Onto the passenger side vent. I was hoping all along that I would not have to remove the top hat on the passenger side, thinking that it wasn't nearly as bad as the driver's side and maybe I could just work around it. But upon closer inspection, the damage was worse than I had hoped, and so out comes the top hat on the passenger side. I drilled out all the spot welds and cleaned up the area with a wire wheel. This smelled awful, since if you remember when I took out the heater box, there was a critter nest in here. What a mess.
Take this outside and see what's in it.
I drilled out the lower flange piece and taped out the area I wanted to cut out. I used my knockoff Dremel tool for the last time to cut out the rusted area. While I was cutting it out, the plastic gears puked and left me to finish it with a pneumatic cutoff wheel. I cut out the patch with this new nibbler tool I got, and then got to work into shaping it. I used the shrinker to get the curve that I wanted, and hammered and dollied the final shape. Lots of fitting and trimming, and I was able to get the piece welded in place. The clamps were necessary to keep the sheet metal aligned. Copious amounts of grinding were necessary to get the final result.
So, I know we haven't posted a video in more than 2 months, but this cowl was such a rotted mess, and I couldn't find any replacement parts for it anywhere. I can't wait for someone to make replacement parts for a 66-67 Fairlane so that I can get to driving them rather than fabricating patch panels.